are so that we can try and make plans and interact with you to raise your issues to a national level so that we can all work together to try and enhance the service delivery to the people in our various areas around the country. Anyway, I would like to just welcome the following people. First of all, I had on record that MEC for Economic Development and Tourism, Nomusa Dube was going to be joining us. I don't see her name on the participants list, but if she is there somehow through somebody else's device, I do welcome her, the Honourable MEC.
She's here, Tim. She's
Are
here,
you there?
Tim. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's waving.
Hello,
Waving.
You look like you're moving around fast, MEC. Keep your eyes on the road. Okay, I'd then obviously like to welcome the Honourable Mayor, Councillor Maziboko, and the MM, Mr. Sotole from the Utugela District Municipality. I don't see the speaker online unless I'm mistaken. Straight on, I don't see, but here I was going to welcome the speaker. Then, of course, I'd like to welcome the DDG Development and Planning, Mrs. Barbara Mguchini from COGTA. Thank you very much for joining us. The MPLs, I'm uncertain as to which MPLs from the legislature have joined us, but I would like to welcome you all as well. And then, of course, I'd like to welcome the NCOP delegates, our mother, Mam Bibi, Honourable Mfayela, Honourable Mtetwa, Honourable Lutuli, thank you for joining us, and Honourable Karim will be coming a little bit later. And then, of course, maybe the most important people in this meeting, colleagues, is the councillors. We'd like to welcome any of the councillors that have joined us today. You are the people at the coalface doing the work for us on the ground, so we welcome you. And then finally, just the staff, the behind-the-scenes staff who make this all happen, who guide us and lead us in all our procedures. We thank you very much for your participation. If we can then move to apologies. The apologies that I've received is from the MEC of COGTA, Honourable Hlomoka. I've received an apology from the Honourable MEC, and I've also received an apology from the COGTA HOD, Mr. T. Tubani. And as I said, Honourable Karim has advised that he will join us at 3 o'clock. Are there any other apologies that we should note? Okay, I'll take it. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Kaniza.
Yes, or no, just to let you know that I'm in charge from President Stage.
Thank you, Honourable. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Good to have you with us. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Are there any apologies? Okay, I will take it that there are no further apologies. All right. I think we've done the introductions. So let us go to the agenda. If I can just quickly run through the agenda for everybody in the meeting so that you can understand what's on the agenda, and then we can, if there are any amendments, they can be proposed. I have Andrew's, yeah, who is speaking from Andrew Malang?
It's Tandy still. In our midst, you mentioned that you didn't see our speaker of Utugela. In the boardroom, we've got the mayor, Utugela, deputy mayor, Utugela, speaker, Utugela. We've got an ESCO member, Councillor Tipisha Balala. We've got the MM. We've got senior managers, water and health, and the other colleagues. So we've got everybody in Utugela. Thank you.
Right, so you've got the whole team there. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. All right, let me just quickly run through the agenda, and then I will then open it up for any amendments, and then we can take it from there. So point number 5, obviously adoption of the agenda is where I am now, but after we've adopted the agenda, we will have a welcome and briefing by Mayor Maziboko. That is not to say we expect the mayor to give us a full briefing of what is going on in Utugela District Municipality, but just maybe some opening comments from a political point of view, from a leadership point of view. And then also I will give the opportunity to the speaker, if the speaker would like to make one or two comments just before we get into the meat of the meeting. Once those comments are in, then we will go to the presentations on the focus areas that you have in your agenda. I will then ask Mrs. Barbara Guccini to deal with that, please, and to give us the briefing there. And then I would then maybe like to ask the MEC to maybe contribute then. That would be my first amendment to the agenda, is that we give the MEC an opportunity after point number 6. So we'll have new point number 7, the MEC. That is my suggestion. Once the MEC has addressed us, then we can go into questions and discussions from the members of the NCOP. And then we will then, after that, go back to the mayor and the MM to give us their thoughts on the way forward. Are we happy with that agenda, with that one amendment that we give the MEC an opportunity after point number 6? Are there any objections, Mambibi?
Tim, I'm just proposing here
Sure.
with our agenda, how would it be after number 5, after the welcoming from the mayor?
Yes.
Then after that, we give the champion, of the Tugela municipality, which is, Honorable MEC Dube. She's going to expand and give us the overall about, Tugela municipalities. I'm just suggesting that, Tim, after the mayor, it can be the champion, and then after that, we carry on with the presentations.
Okay, Chair. Thank you for your guidance and your leadership. All right, then we will ask the mayor to address us. I know yesterday we allowed the speaker to say a few words, and then the champion, and then we will go to point number 6. And then from there we will go to the engagement by the members of the NCOP, and then the way forward. Are we happy with that, Chair? Oh, sorry. Colleagues?
Okay.
All right. Okay, without any objections then I would like to welcome the Mayor Mazibuko, Councillor Mazibuko, thank you very much, and give you the opportunity, if you can move in front of that computer that you're all around there, and address us. And then if the speaker would like to, it's not compulsory, but if the speaker would like to, maybe then the speaker can add on. And then MEC, if you can be ready after the speaker with some comments. Thank you very much. Mayor, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and greeting to the chairperson and members of the NCOP. Greeting to the Honorable MEC, Champion Mama Odube Ngube, members of the legislature, KwaZulu Natal, members of SALGA, as well as the leadership of the municipality together, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Mayor, EXCO members, councillors, administration led by Sichole, as well as the administrator and other officials and departments present in the meeting. We really appreciate the opportunity that we have been given by the NCOP to address, as part of their NCOP week visit in the province of KwaZulu Natal. We started moving around with the team to visit various war rooms around the district, where we're doing the assessment on the functionality of war rooms within our district of Utugela, and ended up with this meeting. Chairperson, I must indicate that Utugela District Municipality is mostly a rural district, with Ladysmith as the economic hub of our district, followed by Okahlamba as well as Escort. In terms of the revenue generation, we rely more on agriculture as well as tourism. Some of the major challenges that we are faced with in the district is the lack of infrastructure that relates to water and sanitation in the main. Last year, December, we were visited by the president, and a commitment was made when we were at Okahlamba local municipality in Bergville that the national government was going to assist the municipality in addressing the issues of backlog as well as the infrastructure development around the provision of water to our people. Since we have a big dam called the Woodstock Dam in our district, which is meant to service and supply the people of Uthugela, but at this stage, we are not benefiting from that resource, which is readily available for the people of our district. But I must indicate through you, Chairperson, that the province, led by the Honorable Premier, through COCTA, they are assisting the municipality in a great deal in addressing some of these service delivery related issues, supported by ETIA as well as other sector departments, especially also the provincial treasury, who are seen to be very much hands-on in terms of assisting us. Were put under administration as a district because of the issues that relates to the finances at the main. Since then, I must indicate that as a municipality, we have progressed, and a number of issues which were raised as part of the intervention have been addressed. But we remain with one critical issue of the revenue collection, which can make the municipality to sustain itself, of which at this stage we are still struggling around that issue of revenue collection. Since I have indicated that our district is mostly rural and the number of people are unemployed. But as part of our challenges is the government debt. Quite a number of departments owe us as a district for the services that we are rendering to the government. So it also affects us as a district going forward. So I believe that this visit and the intervention of the NCOP will assist the municipality in addressing these issues, especially around the infrastructure development and water provision. Thank you very much for the support that you are receiving from the province, and thank you very much for the support that you are receiving from the national and NCOP. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greatly appreciated. If we can now give the speaker a quick opportunity to say a few words. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chairperson.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to you. Greetings to the whole leadership and officials at Uthugela. I'll be very short to say that we were so much appreciated the visit from the legislature as well as the NCOP members. We visited the areas in the whole district. We started at Inkosilangal Balele, where we've got 23 wards, and we went to Ukahlamba, where we've got 15 wards, but we took only 2 per LM. And then today we went to Alfred Duma, and we did also 2 wards. By looking of things, the most things that people are challenges are the same to the whole district. Very few things that we have picked up that are different, but every ward that we visited, we're very excited and we found everything intact. They appreciated the visit and they promised to work harder than they were. It's only one ward that was not doing well, but we promised to assist it, including their public participation, because it shows that they were lacking on that sector. But in all, we really appreciate and we hope for the best. Thank you, Chairperson.
Siyabonga mzukulu.
Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Greatly appreciated. We will now go over to the champion, and that is the MEC. Honourable MEC, if you can come in, please, and give us your input.
Othandekayo wami.
Othandekayo wami uyeza.
Hayi owami othandekayo kuthe qoso lo. Yes.
Yebo ke. Nanko ke. Nansi.
Thank you, Honourable MEC.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Honourable
Honourable
Chair.
The floor is yours.
Good afternoon to you, Chair, and to the Honourable Chief Whip and the Honourable members, and to my Mayor and my Speaker, MMs and other councillors. Yes, indeed, I do wish to go on the words of my members, as well as my leader, Umdunge, the Honourable Member of Legislature, who was our team leader in the district, Umdunge, with the other members of the legislature on the wards that we visited, that indeed the majority of the problems were around the water, and we would appreciate a lot of support from the national government in dealing with the issues of water, particularly the NCOP, given that the NCOP is supposed to represent the interest of the provinces. So we rely on the NCOP to actually express our views, our strong views, in relation to the fact that we are really battling with the issue of service delivery of water, in particular in our district, in that the district is very rural in nature, and therefore the district is not able to collect what they are reticulating to communities. Indeed, you might say that there is a capability that the district should be able to collect in some areas at least, so that there is viability. However, the district have not been able to collect even in those areas where we could be able to collect, so that at least we are then able to extend the services to the communities. So it is still a big issue. It's a bit of a serious issue as well in our district, in that we have a lot of water in our district that are coming from mountains. As you might have seen that we have a lot of mountains. The district is trying to have programs such as the spring protection, but those programs would not help if the district again is not able to pipe and reticulate those springs to be able to reach the communities. So that also need infrastructure support so that water could find its way to the doorstep of the communities. Indeed, the other challenge is that our LMs as well, because of the rural nature of our LMs, they do not have even themselves the capacity to even can be able to have revenue to deliver even on other services. Therefore, you would find that when we were going around, there were a lot of problems that also need national intervention, such as the livestock theft. Because our district is in the border with Lesotho, there is a lot of livestock theft, and that need national intervention in terms of the border control, but also in terms of the police. There's a lot of outcry from our people that a lot of livestock is lost through the borders there. Indeed, high unemployment remains another big challenge in our district, which then lead to a lot of other social ills that you would find accompanying the issues of unemployment, such as high levels of drug abuse. You would know as well that our district is rich in the minerals such as the cannabis. So you would find that we would tend even to indulge in those minerals because we are unemployed and we are then at home and we do not have anything to do. And as a result, you would find that even our kids at school and even, the societal living is in a state of really instability, and it results in high levels of crime, and it results in other social ills as a result of that. Otherwise, you would have seen as well that there is a huge potential for our district to attract tourists because our district is very good, it's got a very good tourist attractions, but because of the bad infrastructure such as roads, such as crime, so that is a negative, into attracting tourists into our district. Because when tourists come, they find that roads are blockaded, people are protesting, and the roads have got potholes, and so on and so on. So really the plea for us to our NCOP members is that we would plead that municipalities such as ours, when we were doing the demarcations and we were merged as municipalities, we merged the poor cousins. And when we merged the poor cousins, there was a lot of expectations of extending services, and those services could not be extended because there is no revenue even to both of those cousins that were merged. As a result, both cousins find themselves down, and if you see that the 3 LMs, all of them really, there is no revenue whatsoever, and our towns are depressed, and it is in the state really where we need a lot of revitalization of small towns. We need a lot of infrastructure injection so that our towns can be able to be reconstructed, as the president talked about the reconstruction and transformation of the economy. To us, it will remain a song unless we see something coming to our district as well. Thank you, Chair.
MEC, thank you very much for that very valuable input, and I'm sure we'll get back to you later on when we have an engagement. Thank you, Mambibi. Okay, colleagues, we will now proceed as per the agenda to the COGTA presentation by Mrs. Barbara Mguchini. I just want to state for the record, colleagues, that I'm a little bit dismayed that we received a 126 slide presentation only this morning. It puts us at a bit of a disadvantage, as you know, we are visiting to try and help, and it puts us as a bit of a disadvantage to try and go through such a complex document in the morning we had, and I'm sure some of us had meetings this morning as well. I know Parliament has caucuses on Thursday morning, and so if I can just ask in future when we do these engagements that COGTA please hold our hands and get those documents to us well in advance so we can prepare properly. But with that, can I please ask that the presentation be flighted on the screen so we can follow it, and that Mr. Mguchini, if you could just take us through the presentation. I see it's 126 slides. We only have, we don't have all the time in the world, so if you could just go through it as quickly as you possibly can, but obviously stopping and concentrating on the very important areas. Thank you very much. Please, the floor is yours. Can we please have it? Can we have it flighted? Can we have the document flighted, please? I think that's very important.
Thank you, Chair. The team will assist with flighting. Chair,
there you
good afternoon.
I can see it. It's fine.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the members of the NCOP, to the members of the KZN legislature, to our MEC champion, Umamu Dubengube, Mayor of Utugela District, all the local mayors present, all the councillors, the speakers, all government officials in the meeting, including the municipal manager, Mr. Martin Sitole. Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Mguchini. I'm the DDG responsible for development and planning within KZN COGTA, and I'm going to lead the presentation with the assistance of Mr. Sitole, the new municipal manager for Utugela District. I need to mention, Chair, that there is a big delegation in the meeting representing COGTA as well as the district itself to respond to the issues that will come up based on the presentation. We've got Umba Lindumo, the director responsible for IDPs in COGTA. We've got Tandega Kuzwayo, the director responsible for sector coordination within COGTA. And we've got Ms. Tuleza Jama, the director responsible for the municipal infrastructure grants. And we also have Ms. Uteles Ndombifuti, the director responsible for LED within COGTA. That's the team from COGTA. We also have a team from public participation within COGTA. Chair, the MEC has also indicated the key issues affecting our district, which is water. And the mayor also alluded to the potential in terms of agriculture within the district. Those are the key areas that we need to focus on moving forward as a province to support our district of Utugela. I also need to indicate, Chair, that as a province, we are working on 3 critical interventions for the whole province, but also focusing on Utugela. We are working on the water master plan, which covers all the districts where we've looked at the water issues for the community up to the ward level. So we are developing what we call the KZN water master plan. We also have in the process of developing the electricity master plan for the province, and we are also developing an economic recovery plan for each of the districts. This is aligned to the provincial economic recovery plan that has been championed by the MEC for Economic Development. Each of the districts are required to present the economic recovery plan to the economic cluster to foster the alignment with the provincial processes, and also to ensure that all the issues that are critical in that particular district are included as part of the district economic recovery plan. I also need to indicate the district has got a district development agency that they've established to support in terms of the implementation of the local economic development. And of importance, therefore, is the championing of the economic recovery plan. Those were the opening remarks in terms of our presentation. If we can move on to slide number 1 for the presentation. We are not going to go through all the slides, Chair. They are for information purposes for the members to know what are the issues. I'll just dwell on the key slides and comment on those, and then the rest can form part of the questions that the members may want to ask, or they can also be part of the reading material for future meetings of the. I'm not sure what has happened to the slides. They've just disappeared on my side, but we are on the slide with the footprints. We don't need to go into detail with that. If we can move to slide 6, which talks about the location of the major dams. This indicates the status of water in our dams.
Sorry, Mrs. Ngochini. Sorry, can we please just get the presentation back on the screen? Thank you. And Erwin, it looks like you are helping us there. If you can just move to slide 6.
Thank you, Chair. Slide 6 is indicating the status of the dams in the province, our major dams, and the dams that actually serve Utugela district, which is the Woodstock Dam, the Spinnecock Dam, and the Wakenkrug Dam. We do not have serious issues in terms of dam levels. None of them are in the red status in terms of what you can see. Woodstock Dam is sitting at 77% in October. We've got Spinnecock 79 and Wakenkrug at 80%. So our dams in the district are doing well in terms of water. If we move on to slide number 7, it talks about the water sources. It shows the dams that I've been referring to, which are the main water sources in the district. But obviously, this is supplemented by by rivers in the next slide, as well as the underground water through the boreholes and the springs that the MEC for Kokta has highlighted as critical and key for the provision of water in the province. If we move on to slide number 9, it also indicates the ownership of dams within the province. There is a study that was commissioned by the Provincial Planning Commission, where they are indicating the number of publicly owned dams in the province and those that are privately owned. The study was trying to give us a highlight in terms of the lack of dams in the Izigodi areas, and it's a matter that we are taking up as part of the Water Master Plan to ensure that we now start the development of dams in the Izigodi area. If you look at Utugela, there are 11 publicly owned dams and 121 privately owned dams, giving us a total of 132 dams in the district. But if we look at the mapping in the next slide, none of those dams are serving Izigodi. So as part of our water master plan, we've identified potential sites for about 384 dams in the province, and these will be focusing on the areas outside the towns, and mainly to cover the rural areas, so that they can use water both for consumption as well as for agriculture purposes. Slide number 11 is looking at the statistics in terms of access to water. We did a study as a province in 2019, and each district in 2019 was required to account to our cabinet in terms of ward level analysis of water. meaning we are not relying on the 2016 census data alone in terms of access to water, but we are to then request water service authorities to do walkabouts and profile their district so that we have a clear indication of what the access to water is in terms of each district. And for uThukela, we've got 74 wards, and out of those wards, in 2011, we had 79% access to water. In 2016, there was a reduction in terms of access. It reduced by over 10% to 66%. And then in the 2019 Water Service Authority statistics, there is an improvement in terms of access to water, which is now sitting at 82.7%. The study that we did covers all the 870 wards in the province, and we've got a clear indication based on projects that have been implemented since 2016 to date, which have addressed some of the water challenges within the province. If we move to the next slide, we are just indicating the areas of concern in terms of access as a province, and also the deep blue areas are indicating where access is quite high. And you note that we have areas where we still have access that is not up to standard. Also, if we allude to the customer satisfaction survey that was commissioned by the Office of the Premier in 2018, water became a key issue, or key issue number one in terms of the priorities and customer satisfaction. And even in areas where there was water, in terms of access, there was also dissatisfaction because the water was either being cut or not coming as frequently as expected. So meaning water is an issue that the sixth administration of government is looking at very closely in order to address the challenges. The next slide looks at the ward level analysis again, so that we understand per ward what is the status in terms of access. And for uThukela district, we've also indicated the access per local municipality in the areas where we need to improve. The access relates also to the issue in terms of no access due to dysfunctional infrastructure and no access due to no infrastructure at all. So that has been analyzed up to the wards. I'm now moving on to slide number 14. I can see it's not moving as fast in terms of the screen, but if we move on to slide number 14, the color coding is clear. 89% has got water access in the province. And then there's yellow, which depicts where there is no water access due to dysfunctional infrastructure. And then there's red, which indicates where there is no water due to no infrastructure at all. If you look at Okahlamba, it does also indicate per local municipality, as well as the rest of the local municipalities within the district. You would note, members, that in Alfred Duma, there is also an issue around the no access due to dysfunctional infrastructure for 8% of our population. And that dysfunctional infrastructure is also then confirmed for all the wards within the province. We've done a similar exercise, but in focusing on uThukela, if we move to slide 15, we've now gone on to the wards themselves to indicate what the status is per ward. And we've indicated which wards are most affected in terms of no access due to dysfunctional infrastructure. The first slide indicates Okahlamba, and in Okahlamba, we've gone to indicate the wards that are lagging behind. Ward 5 is an example in Okahlamba. There is no water to 70% of the households due to dysfunctional infrastructure. Ward 3, similarly, there is also dysfunctional infrastructure, and that's the yellow part. The green shows there's water access. The next slide, which is Inkosi it's mainly no access because there is no infrastructure. That's why there is a lot of red in there, especially in Ward 9 and in Ward 19 and so forth. If you move to slide 17, it shows Alfred Duma, and it shows the challenges which I indicated earlier on in terms of access due to dysfunctional infrastructure, which is prevalent in Alfred Duma, as well as no infrastructure at all in some areas in the wards that are affected. Over and above the analysis we did in terms of the wards, we've also looked at all the grants that are available within the province and looked at where those projects are going to be implemented by various stakeholders, be it KOKA, DWS, Umgeni Water, and the municipality itself. So we are looking at the interventions that are currently ongoing in the short term in terms of the projects to now address either the dysfunctional infrastructure due to condition or the non-access due to no infrastructure. So these are the ongoing projects that are currently taking place within Inkosi Langadibalele to address water in the wards where we've indicated their challenges. Some of the projects at contractor appointments, while others are at construction stage to bring water to the communities. So that is covering all the locals. We've broken down the projects that we have captured so far in terms of the water master plan, including where we've got projects for the refurbishment of infrastructure to bring water to the communities. We've also analyzed, as part of the condition assessment on slide 21, water schemes in the district, as well as the water treatment works and the wastewater treatment works on slide 21. We've indicated the condition assessment in terms of the water infrastructure as part of the project that was championed by KOKA. And we've indicated the challenges in terms of the scheme, which scheme requires replacement, or which water treatment works are beyond their operational stage or age, and which works require refurbishment. In the water master plan, we've also gone to the point of indicating the remaining lifespan for each of the assets for water that we have. So we've actually gone on to break down each of the 18 in terms of each of the 14 in terms of the water treatment works, and each of the 9 in terms of the wastewater treatment works, to indicate their lifespan and the work that is required and the timing of that particular work, so that when they do the budgeting as a municipality, they know when to budget for the replacement of the infrastructure and what to prioritize. So that's part of the water master plan. If we move to slide 22, we are also indicating the issue of the O&M, which is a matter that is a critical challenge in the province, where we've seen that most municipalities are not budgeting for the operations and maintenance of the infrastructure in the province. They are supposed to be putting aside 8% of their plant equipment value. 8% of that should be towards your operations and maintenance, but most municipalities in the province are not doing that. And this is the reason why we are finding ourselves with a lot of dilapidated infrastructure, which now requires a refurbishment. So it's a matter that is being addressed through the President Cabinet as part of the water master plan, and it's also a key issue in the upcoming Lekota. On slide 23, we've indicated the state of existing infrastructure and refurbishment requirements required for Uthugela. We've gone through each scheme, I analyzed it and costed the works that are required to bring the scheme to full functionality, so that we do not have those yellows that we saw earlier on, and we do not have the reds that we also saw earlier on. So this is the breakdown in terms of the funding required. Obviously, we still need to do a reprioritization in terms of what can be done currently and what can be done in future, based on the needs analysis and the areas that do not have water at all. So this slide shows the different schemes from your Zwelisha Moyeni, Ezakeni, Escort, Loscop, and the works that are required and the budgets required. You note, members, that as a province, we receive maybe 3 billion in terms of water grants in totality. And we now need to rework that 3 billion to ensure that it goes towards the priorities of each particular district based on the assessments that we have done. And we feel with the establishment of the district development model, we'll be able to now link the priorities and also ensure we work towards a common goal as sectors that are responsible for water, including your DWS, to align the priorities and also ensure we are informed by the bottom-up issues that are coming from the war rooms to inform the priorities that we then take moving forward. Slide number 25 just gives a breakdown in terms of the short-term interventions that we were involved in as COPTA. As part of the COVID-19, it covers the whole province, and Utugela was one of the beneficiaries in terms of the interventions that we've been making as part of COVID-19. Short-term interventions, the water master plan, I've already alluded to that. We also have a water expert task team that was appointed by the Premier to look at the hotspots and strategic interventions. They are driving the water master plan development, and they would also assist to unblock some of the problematic projects that are ongoing, and also to offer support to our water service authorities and water boards to resolve some of the areas where there are disagreements. We also had a short-term intervention in terms of water tanks, where we purchased 3,000 static tanks that were distributed to all the water service authorities. And through Rand Water, we also negotiated for 1,200 static tanks that were also distributed as part of the short-term interventions. As COPTA, we transferred 84 million to 7 districts in the province, and Utugela was one of the beneficiaries, and that funding was meant to accelerate the delivery of water to areas that did not have water. The 84 million was part of the savings that MEC Somuga felt they needed to go towards water as a priority in the province. We are also in the process of drilling 251 boreholes in the province, across the province, and Utugela district is going to benefit with 16 production boreholes and 49 hand pumps boreholes that are already underway in terms of the processes of siting and drilling. The municipality also has their own borehole program, but we are aligning with that to ensure that we get a lot of coverage within the district for the borehole program. As part of the COVID response, we also had water tankering services assisted by the Rand Water as well as COPTA, and municipalities themselves deploying water tankers to areas that did not have water. The Premier has also indicated he would want a program to get rid of water tankers, hence the reason why we've got the accelerated water project as a permanent solution, so that we do away with the program to distribute water through water tankering. If we move on to slide 26, it now talks about the performance of grants that we have for water within the province. And this slide gives a breakdown of what the municipality is focusing on in terms of the projects supported by various stakeholders, being COPTA, DWS, Department of Transport, Public Works, as well as the Rand Water and the massification program from COPTA. Those are the projects in the district amounting to about 339 million in the 2021 financial year. And the next slide just gives a breakdown in terms of those projects, from your VIP toilets to the upgrade of reservoirs, the refurbishment of water treatment work, the construction of new treatment works, the drilling of boreholes, as well as spring protection, which was an issue that was raised earlier on. So there are a number of interventions that are ongoing since 2011 to 2019, as well as the current projects that have been funded by MIG, by the municipal MIG project, as well as the COPTA and DWS projects. Slide 29, Chair, gives us an indication of the expenditure in terms of grants that are disbursed to municipalities. In terms of the Water Service Authority of Utugela, they received a DORA allocation of 183 million in 2019. And in terms of expenditure, the expenditure at the end of the year was sitting at 78%. And the balance to carry over, which forms part of the rollover request. But Utugela is doing well currently in terms of the grant expenditure on water, and hence the reason why they've got an increase in the numbers of people that have received water. They are also sitting at 28% in terms of their MIG allocation. This is 28% counting from July, the beginning of their financial year. They've got an allocation of 182 million for their water component in terms of the MIG allocation. The next slide gives just a breakdown in terms of where these projects are and what is happening with the MIG allocation. I will not go into detail in terms of that. The slide number 31 gives an indication in terms of the big projects funded by DWS, which we call the Regional Bulk Infrastructure Grant, the RB grant. And it shows in terms of the districts where that grant was dispersed to. In terms of Uthugela, it's for the Driefontein Indaga project, and there was an allocation of 39 million, which was adjusted to 33 million by DWS. So that's the allocation for Arabic in the current financial year. And in terms of the projects, the 6 million was reduced because there were delays in some of the project implementation, and they to reduce that allocation. But we believe there is now a catch-up plan in terms of the projects that they are implementing, and we are hoping in future we will not have any problems in terms of delays with implementation. If we move to slide number 32, it's also giving us current status in terms of the grants. I will not go into detail in terms of the projects, but the lists are there in terms of what is happening with the WISIG as well as the other. Slide 35 begins to allude to their EPWP projects funded through the EPWP grants of 3.7 million, and all this is also ongoing. They also have the DOT grant of for the road asset management system. Moving on to Electrification Chain, we have broken down the electrification backlogs in the district, indicating what is happening per local municipality, the number of households with electricity and without, and also the estimated allocation or the estimated cost to eradicate the backlogs in each of the local municipalities. We are sitting at 87% overall in terms of access to electricity in the district, and 13% do not have electricity. The estimated cost to eradicate that backlog is sitting at 799 million. If we move to the next slide, it talks about the allocations in terms of IAP grants to the municipality, and it also gives a breakdown up to March 2020. There was an allocation of 28 million, and the expenditure up to March was sitting at 12 million, with 169 planned connections and 545 were achieved. So these are some of the ongoing projects, and they were delayed due to lockdown, and we believe there is a catch-up plan now underway to bring projects back on. So that gives us the 1920 INEP allocation for under Schedule 6B for the projects, and also the 677 actual connections that have been achieved in the different local municipalities. If we move to slide 42, it talks about the bulk infrastructure projects. It's actually what we call network strengthening projects, which are underway for the whole province, but they spread across various districts, Uthugela, Umgungundlovu, Ugu. So the municipality that is affected by the strengthening project for the Arena Venus line, it's Inkosilanga Libalele municipality under Uthugela, and negotiations are already underway with Inkosilanga Libalele to support ESCOM in the project to strengthen the line. Although the project might not seem to be benefiting in terms of benefiting the actual local in terms of the network, it's a bulk infrastructure project. So there were challenges in 2013, and the project was put on hold because the municipalities, communities were actually wanting a stake in terms of the tenders for the project. The project has now been resuscitated, and the MEC for COCTA is written to the municipalities to assist in terms of ensuring the communities do not cause work stoppages within the project. If you move to slide number 44, it shows it's a 123 kilometer line that is being strengthened from Escort through Moy River, Howick, all the way to Thornville, and joining with the Eastern Cape. So this is part of our bulk project, and if we do not complete this project, we are going to continue with the load shedding that we are already beginning to face. So it shows in terms of the progress, the towers that have been constructed as part of the network strengthening, and there is a PSC that has been formed to monitor implementation of this project, and that PSC is made up of mayors and councillors in the affected wards, so that they assist in terms of mobilizing the communities to support our project. Moving on to slide number 47, it also shows the ESCOM projects that are being planned for the area as part of the bulk infrastructure. There are 8 projects that will go beyond 2025. Some of them are funded, while others are not yet funded, and they are all at conceptualization stage in terms of the designs. So those projects will bring security and also will assist in terms of the infills that are currently being experienced in some of the areas. Like 49 talks to the electricity refurbishment program. I indicated we did a condition assessment of water. We also did a condition assessment of electricity infrastructure in the province. And this was focusing on the licensed energy distributors within the province. And in this case, it was Alfred Duma under Utugela. So the condition assessment indicated there is a complete lack of maintenance of the infrastructure that we have in terms of substations, in terms of electricity lines, which may result in us losing electricity if we do not maintain the infrastructure that we have. Slide number 50 indicates the status of each of the infrastructure that we assessed, and also the issues that we found out as we were doing the condition assessment. We also went on to prioritize the projects that need to be implemented in the next slide, where we are saying for Alfred Duma, they need to prioritize the 2 transformers that require recommissioning. We also have substations. We also have feeder lines that require upgrades. And we've indicated a total of 149 million will be required for Alfred Duma to upgrade the infrastructure that we have in terms of the condition assessment. In Nkosilanga Libalele, we did the same process, and slide 53 shows that for Nkosilanga Libalele, we need 37 million to refurbish the electricity infrastructure to ensure we've got security of supply. We also have a challenge in terms of energy losses. Lady Smith in particular, there are 2 feeders that are affected where the municipality has got illegal connections, and ESCOM is bleeding in terms of those illegal connections. We have a program in place where ESCOM is trying to address the communities, but the most affected areas within the province are listed there, being Empangeni, Kokstad, Lady Smith, Margate, Newcastle, Pietermaritzburg, Pongolo, and Stenga. eThekwini obviously is also included. If you saw a few weeks ago, there were fires within the district, within the metro, all because of the illegal connections that we have. So we are meeting with ESCOM to craft a strategy on dealing with the illegal connections. We are engaging community leadership, as well as making sure that we bring electricity to the areas where there are illegal connections, or a plan or a program for bringing electricity to the communities. Coming to the issue of MIG performance, we've got a report that relates to the MIG expenditure from slide number 58 onwards. It shows the allocation that Utugela has got for MIG and where they are in terms of expenditure, and also the issue of the outstanding proof of payments, which will bring our target expenditure to a norm. In terms of the allocation for 2021, Uthugela has got an allocation of 182 million for MIG, and of that, 60 million has been transferred, and expenditure is currently sitting at 39%, with only about 2 million proof of payments outstanding. And if these are received, we will then be sitting at a good pace in terms of expenditure. The norm, according to our stats, is that by now we should be sitting at 25% expenditure. Uthugela is sitting at 21, so we need to push them to bring them to at par with the norm. If we move to the next slide, again, it also indicates the locals in terms of their allocation and expenditure. Their allocation is 47 million, transferred is 8, and they are sitting at 12 million expenditure in terms of September. And in terms of the norm, they've also exceeded, they are sitting at 27%. So we don't have reasons to worry much in terms of their expenditure levels. If we move to slide 61, Okahlamba, it's sitting at, it's below the par, they are sitting at 12%. And we need to push Okahlamba to spend so that they meet the expectations in terms of the expenditure levels. Slide number 62 indicates the non-financial reports in terms of cash flows. This is more operational, and we are working closely with the PMUs in the municipalities to ensure that the projects that are registered are implemented, and those that are not no longer being implemented are cleaned up from the system and decommissioned, so that we have got a clear system in terms of our MIS, and we report accordingly. In terms of service delivery interventions funded by COCTA, that's just a breakdown of what of the transfers that we've given. I indicated we've got more than 84 million transferred to various municipalities, and Uthugela was one of the beneficiaries for that funding. And those are the projects that we funded and the progress thereof. I will not go into detail in terms of that. Same with slide 65. It also shows the COCTA transfers to address the accelerated water for Bergville in Moyeni Zwenelisha. And also slides, the following slide also shows the static tanks breakdown. I will not go into detail, but it's critical to mention in slide 67, the issue of water tankers that I mentioned earlier on. There are 31 water tankers that worked within Uthugela district between March to August during the peak period of COVID-19, with 31 owned by the municipality, 2 owned by COCTA, and then 4 owned by DWS at a national level. And COCTA also hired additional 2. Then we'd run water, adding 3 to the fleet for schools, for water to schools. So with a total of 39 water tankers that were fully operational from March to August, servicing the district and the schools within the district in preparation for the opening. That's just the breakdown in terms of the borehole program. I did indicate earlier on. Let's move to the disaster part, which talks about what the expectation is in terms of disaster management, as well as what the Act says in terms of the expectations that we need to establish disaster management centers. We also need to ensure that the disaster centers coordinate disasters within that particular district. So we've got what we call the phases that AG also uses on slide 74, where we're indicating the status of disaster management within Uthugela district. And the smiley faces are indicating whether we've got a disaster center. The status is green. We have a disaster management manager. We do have that. Do we have staff? Uthugela does have that. Do they have transport? For disaster management, it is in place. The yellows indicate where we need to strengthen to give it, to reach a green, where we are saying we need to relook at the policy for disaster as well as the disaster management plan. They also need to enter into agreements with various stakeholders that can support them in terms of disaster management, including private sector. They also need to work on the communication system for the disaster center, as well as establishing the call center, a fully fledged call center for disaster. They have a functional advisory forum, and they also have a functional, they also have a chief fire officer in place, but the raids are mainly on the volunteer unit that has not been established. They do not have a database of volunteers in the case of massive disasters. And also we are looking at the budgets for disaster that are not in line with the expectations. So they need to up their game in terms of the areas that are marked in red as a district. Coming to the locals, they were also assessing them in terms of disaster management, as well as fire and rescue services. And those are the areas that we are saying they are not yet in line in terms of a disaster manager and the staff, in terms of MOUs, in terms of the advisory forum and volunteers. As Alfred Duma, we still have a lot of work as COCTA to work with them to improve on the areas that are red. In Koslanga Libalele, they also have the reds in terms of transport under disaster, the MOUs, the advisory forum, and the volunteers. But the yellows will need to be converted to green. There are only greens with the fire bylaws as well as the chief fire officer. We need to work closely with them as COCTA. Okahlamba, same story. The issue of transportation is covered. We've assisted them extensively on that, including a fire and emergency service center that we funded as COCTA, but they still need to address those rates that are indicated. Those are the issues in terms of disaster management, but they had established all the structures as part of the COVID-19 command council requirements is at the onset of COVID-19. Coming to LED, I will not go into detail in LED, except focus on slide 85, which indicates the status of LED in the district as well as its locals, where we are commenting on the key focus areas, which is the LED forum, the LED manager aspects, the LED staff, the issue of budgeting, the issue of the LED strategy, the issue of the informal economy policy, which is critical, especially under the COVID-19, post-COVID-19 conditions, where we are having a lot of people moving from formal employment into informal. We need to ensure we've got policies in place and we implement those policies. We are also looking at the business retention and investment strategy, and those are the greens that we have on slide 84 in terms of the status of the district. The areas of concern is Nkosilanga Libalele in terms of the LED fora. It's the issue of budgets for LED across the district. It is a challenge, especially both the capital and operational budgets. But in terms of all other areas, we are in green, and we are also working closely with them to strengthen their district development agency so that it can assist in driving LED in the province. We've also listed the issue of the economic recovery plan, which is underway, and we're working closely with National COCTA, with ETIA, to ensure their economic recovery plan has got interventions that we can monitor for implementation to recover the economy of the district. As part of our LED support, we are looking at the issue of red tape reduction, the issue of the township economies, the issue of reviving the LED forums, and the DDA support. I will not go into the projects that we funded. Those are ongoing, and we'll continue to give them support in the implementation of projects, both under small town and corridor development. Those are the projects that we funded over the years, and the pictures that follow are indicating the projects from slide number 92 onwards. They are indicating the projects that we funded as COCTA collectively and in partnership with the municipality, the Bakeville Vineyards, the Peg Houses under Amakosi program in Hlatikulu, the Winnen Taxi Rank, the Vehicle Testing Center in Okahlamba. Those are some of the key projects that we funded in Okahlamba. We've developed a keynote as part of our small town rehabilitation program, and that is being profiled as one of the best practices in the province. Under the Community Service Center program, which is the former Tusong Center, we also have analyzed all the community service centers within the district to see their status in terms of the need for reconstruction and rehabilitation. We have a program as COCTA in terms of slide 96, where we are indicating what COCTA does in terms of the Tusong Center program or the Community Service Center program. We have new construction. We also rehabilitate old infrastructure or refurbish. And we also have a program to make sure that the CSCs or Tusong centers are fully functional, and we prioritize funding for each year as and when the funding is available to build or to rehabilitate. Unfortunately, the numbers that we have are quite high in terms of the CSCs that require refurbishment, and the funding is not adequate to fit the requirements. So if we move to slide number 98, it indicates the grade 1 CSCs or the high level Tusong centers that we have. There are 7 in the district, and we've listed them, and these are the ones that we are actually maintaining to ensure full functionality as they bring services closer to the people. We mobilize sector departments like Home Affairs, your post office, so that all these areas that were not serviced previously have got services, especially in the areas under Amakosi. The latest development on the list is the Amahlubi Community Service Center that we launched in 2019. We completed building it in 2019, and is now becoming a center that is attracting a whole lot of activities in terms of bringing services closer to the people. In Bergville, we also did the Okahlamba one, which is still being operationalized, and we've partnered with ETIA to bring Wi-Fi connectivity to that site. The next slide just gives a pictorial indication of the sites that I'm talking about. If you look at slide 100, that's the Bergville site and the services that are being provided there. Home Affairs, SASAM, the agriculture. There's also a conference center, and IEC is going to move into the building as well. And we also have a youth and indoor sports complex as part of the community service center. If we move to the next slide, which has the Amahlubi one on 104, that's the new one that I indicated earlier on, and you can see Amakosi are already fully utilizing that site, and they were in a boardroom before COVID-19 where they were hosting their TC meetings within the site. If we move on to slide number 106, it just shows the infrastructure status and the funding that we require in terms of rehabilitating the sites so that we'll give them to full functionality. I will not go into detail in terms of that, but I'll move on to the pictures that just show the grade 2 CSCs or the former traditional courts that we have rehabilitated. On slide 111, it just gives you the full picture, the various CSCs that we have been working on and the budgets allocated for the rehabilitation. These are occupied mainly by Amakosi. In slide 112, the pictorial indication of the rehabilitated TACs or former traditional courts. We call them grade 2 community service centers. They are all part of the community service center program. Slide 113 also shows the improvements, including bringing water, fencing for security, as well as rebuilding and assisting with the roofing and so forth. We've got 267 TACs within the province, and not all of them have got sites for operation or fully fledged sites. And we're working on a program to ensure that all the TCs or all the TACs are refurbished, and all the TCs have got operational buildings in place. In terms of program successes for the CSCs, when we refurbish or we build, we create job opportunities. We also create job opportunities in terms of the skills development centers that are part of the TACs. and we also assist in terms of furniture for the facilities and restoring the dignity of the institution of traditional leadership as part of refurbishing the traditional courts. Slide 17 talks about our IDP status in Uthugela. It does indicate the status after the assessments in the family of the district. We have an IDP unit. I did indicate Mbalindumo is in the meeting. She deals with the IDPs, and she has assisted all municipalities to ensure that they've got IDP plans in place. They also have their implementation plans in place, and they work with Amakosi and traditional houses to ensure they are part of the IDP processes, as well as mobilizing sector departments to participate in the IDP and also in the preparation of the one plan, one budget as part of our DDM objectives. The unit also assists municipalities to ensure the issues that are raised by communities in the war room are included in the IDPs, and they find expression in the projects that are implemented within the particular district. They've also have a program for ward-based planning to bring the issues of the war rooms to the IDP, and these are also deliberated at IDP forums. In terms of innovation, as part of the IDP processes, they are looking at the innovative ways to deal with the IDPs. They also developed a circular as part of in partnership with the AG to ensure that there is compliance with the IDP processes in level 4 after the serious lockdown. Then they also convened a workshop in Uthugela to deal with the planning processes as part of their IDP processes. And Inkosi Libalele was also included. It is pivotal to state that the LM adopted their IDP on the 28th of May 2020. I think that's the highlight there. In terms of ranking, in terms of the credibility of the IDPs within the district, there is the ranking that has been done. Inkosi Libalele looks like it regressed from the previous IDP credibility because they didn't address the comments that were raised by the MEC in the previous years. But Uthugela IDP is sitting at 76%, Okatlamba is sitting at 61%, Alfred Duma at 54% credibility, and Inkosi Libalele at 44%. So there is extensive work required in terms of Inkosi Libalele to ensure the credibility is lifted to levels that are expected. We have municipalities that are under Section 139 intervention, which is Uthugela and Inkosi Libalele. The mayor did allude to this, and there is a separate program under local government branch to deal with the issues of addressing their interventions. And these were presented to the NCOP and to the Portfolio Committee for COCTA as part of the support that KZN is providing. So that's the report that I'm presenting, Chair, on behalf of Uthugela District and the local municipalities, and on behalf of COCTA, HOD, and MEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mbuchini. I really do appreciate it. You've taken us quite quickly through a very lengthy presentation, and I certainly have made a lot of notes along the way. I'd now just like to ask the MM just to give us his input because the agenda does say COCTA and the municipality. So MM, if you can just come in on the Andrew Malang channel, and if you could just give us just a brief input from yourself, because we still want to get into a discussion about all these issues. And maybe you can just also focus on the 139 intervention and how that is going. And also one thing I noticed towards the end, the IDP credibility rankings, which some are high, but some are disturbingly low. Maybe you can just give us some comment on that. But please, we welcome your input. Thank you, MM. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to yourself, the delegation from the NCOP, MEC present, MPLs and MPs, councillors and colleagues. Chairperson, mine will be really short because the presentation that has been made was jointly produced by COCTA and ourselves, but I will touch on the issue of the intervention guided by the chairperson. Intervention is going quite well. One should say that out of remedial actions that have been identified, which were over 60, successfully, and majority of them have been implemented successfully, and we only are left with those interventions that have to deal with financial viability. Of course, because of the rural nature of the municipality, collection is not good at all, but the current administrator is assisting us strongly with the collection, especially from the provincial departments, which is then promising, and if we can be able to keep that momentum, I see the municipality turning the corner. Another one that is really important currently that we are spending sleepless nights about is the issue of trying to improve our audit outcomes, of which we're currently sitting on a qualified opinion. COCTA is assisted with the deployment of financial experts that are assisting our finance department in trying to, amongst other things, clear the previous year's ages findings, and secondly, to ensure that the AFS that are being produced are credible, and the supporting documents are there and are ready for inspection by Auditor General. Chairperson, I think generally, if one can compare the status administratively within the municipality, status now and previously when the administration was introduced, we are doing quite well, because even in terms of service delivery, whilst there will be those pockets of areas where you find that there are protests here and there, but we are able to curb those by ensuring that whatever it is the community is complaining about, which normally is the shortage of water, we'll try and find mitigating ways of ensuring that those communities get water without necessarily having to go out and hire water tankers, which was one of the problems that we were facing. There are projects, Chairperson, that are trying to address issues, especially an issue that was burning at some stage at Uguvugeni, which was around the provision of water and sanitation. There are projects that are addressing that, and we are hoping when those projects are completed, which we are targeting March next year, then Uguvugeni as one hotspot will be quieter. Chairperson, let me end. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Greatly appreciate your input, and I'm sure we will come back to you under the questions. Colleagues, I'm sure now my dear colleagues in the NCOP have many burning questions which they would like to pose. Colleagues, if I can just ask you, I'm going to ask Mam Bibi, because she is our mother and our leader, to go first, and then Honourable Mfayela, and then Honourable Mtetwa, and then Honourable Karim, and then Honourable Lutuli. If I could just ask you to just indicate who your question is directed towards, if you can, so that those persons can just make a note of the question, and then we will ask them to come back at the end and give us their input. Mam Bibi, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to the champion of Utugere district, Umamunomu Sangube Dube, and also the mayor and the speaker, and also the whole team. And I'm so glad that the whole team is there to be part of this program. You have got a full complement, Babu Mayor Siyabonga kakhulu. And also greetings to the MPs and MPLs that are part of this, this program, and also the officials, Cocta, and your team, and also our team. My questions will be, although it was a very long, interesting presentation. And also I should thank Mayor, Speaker, and the champion, Mam Dube with their inputs. And also it shows that there are lots of interventions that have been done by the province, of which they just need our assistant at the NCOP to speed up the process, so that the service delivery speeds up. My first question, Chairperson, will be, well, I don't know, but one of the officials can answer. With the presentation regarding there's Ward 15 and Ward 23 that are sitting on extremely poor access conditions, water access. How does the municipality plan to address, these challenges in that ward? And also, Tim, I've got another question. That does the municipality have a debt collection and revenue strategy in place? As we know that, in some instances, you see that a municipality can maneuver because, of the revenue not paid and also the debt. So I'm just checking with the municipality whether do they have any plan and also strategy in place to overcome that. And my third question, Chairperson, will be, how are the systems in place in monitoring of service delivery? And also what methods used to deal with the resistance, like I've mentioned, of communities of not paying for certain types of services. So my last question is just an empathy that, the plan and strategy, do they have them in place so that, it can assist with the challenges that the municipality have? Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you, Ma'am Bibi. Thank you. Honorable Mfayela, do you have some questions for us?
Thank you, Honorable Tim. Allow me to greet leadership that is present today. The Minister, Umam Dube, Ngobe, all other leadership present. Honorable Tim, it is clear to me that water, like any other district in KwaZulu Natal, is a challenge together. In the department's presentation, I'm glad that they've mentioned that they are also involved in boreholes, spring protection. But my question also is around that. I know, according to the presentation, from 2011 to 2019, the sum of 111 million was spent just to treating the boreholes and hand pumps and spring protection. Also, 29 million refurbishment of production boreholes and hand pumps was spent, and 24 million was spent towards spring protection. To me, that was a good move from the Together side. Now, my question and my concern is that what is the condition of these projects? Because some of the areas you will find out that boreholes were drilled, spring protection was made, but there is no service on it. You find out that they are lying there on the hills and they are not working. Now, I just want to know from the Utugela side of it, are these projects are in use? Are they functioning? Community are benefiting out of it? I just want to know that. Thank you, Tim.
If I can now move to my brother, Honorable Enoch Mtatwa.
Thank you, Chair. Mine, Chair, is just to ask one thing in terms of the debts that it's owned to municipality by the government. How deep it is in terms of percentage if those departments could pay? What difference would it make to the municipality?
Thank you, Honorable Mtatwa. Is that all?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the man who should be the mayor of Pietermaritzburg. I'm just joking. Honorable Karim. Oh, sorry, Honorable Luli. Oh, my sister,
you forgot about me now.
Yeah, you'll hit me too hard. Honorable Lutuli, yeah, please carry on.
Thank you so much, and greetings to everyone. I think I'm covered in most of the questions, but also in the issue of water, I would like to know, because I know it's a problem across EKZN that we have an issue with water, and I believe that the money that is being used in these water tanks that are supplying water, it is too much when you look at amounts in all the municipalities, not just in these municipalities that we are talking about. So what plans do they have, especially to fix the water problem and do away with the water tanks? Thank you so much. And greeting to Unzwagele, Itubeli Mtend.
Thank you, Sis Lutuli. And finally now, Honorable Karim, we're glad you can join us from the land of the budget. Would you like
thank
to
you,
post questions?
Chairperson. Firstly, I think you and Mama Lindiwe Bibe there should deal with my sister, Comrade Lutuli, because I don't know why she's competing with me. For 3 days now in a row, she gets the order confused of who's meant to speak next. So maybe you should carry out an inquiry, Comrade Lindiwe. And I need to remind her I'm twice her age. She needs to call me Baba Karim. But never mind, that's an internal matter. Firstly, Chairperson NEC, I'm delighted to see again, virtually at least, after a long while. It's the nearest I've got to her in some time. And all the public representatives here at all levels and the officials. I'm going to make some general comments before I come to the very specific ones. Because I think there are broader issues, maybe because I've been around so long, Chairperson, that this thing preoccupies me, as it does, in fact, all of us from the NCOP. I think the point's been made repeatedly, and perhaps we should emphasize it again, just because we are dealing now with we've done it in the last 2 days, we're dealing with another district, or another municipality, as it happens, the district. And we need to say this, and I think it's been said already, but I need to emphasize this. Firstly, where municipalities fail, as the NEC knows so acutely, it's our collective responsibility, the provincial, national, and local. We're not a federal state, we're a system of cooperative governance, and we know how the Constitution says about that. So ultimately, when a municipality fails, it reflects on all 3 spheres. When it succeeds, it reflects on all 3 spheres. So we are collectively responsible, and as the NCOP, we have a key role linking all these spheres. So we come here in the spirit of engagement, comradeship, fraternal considerations of the issues, not to be top down as it were. But having said that, municipalities, and I think the NEC knows also well, as a previous doctor, cannot escape their own responsibilities for their failures, as much as we at provincial and national level take our fair share of responsibility. So municipalities cannot escape responsibility. It's interesting you mentioned the finance committee, because when we left the minister, one of the big issues, in fact, he raised was water. He said, look, basically there's a subtext. What he was saying was, we're asking the usual difficult questions across all political parties, and I think he was getting irritated. So he said to us, you know what, we need to get real. For example, he said, I really want to address this meeting, though it's not my area, so to speak, but the financial implications are, is what he implied, of the water crisis that's looming. So what we are seeing in Utugela is only a microcosm of what we're experiencing throughout the country and what we're going to experience even more globally in this part of the world, Southern Africa, because of our low average rainfall. We're only half, as you know, Chairperson, of what the world average is. So we're in for a very torrid time. If we can't manage now, Chairperson, I cannot say, and when I say we, I mean all of us, public reps at key levels and officials. I can't, Chairperson, see how we're going to manage in the near future. Now, of course, Mr. Mboweni, the minister, he wasn't able to deal with this issue because we ran out of time, and then he said, okay, he'll come back to us, but he's saying there's a crisis financially and in other ways around water. I think the MEC knows quite a lot about that too. Secondly, I also want to say that, all we know, Chairperson, it's been said by the UN, that the water crisis, the scarcity of water, they said wars in future will not be fought over territories and over oil, over access to oil. It will be fought over access to scarce water. So this is a big issue. And only yesterday, there's an article I saw somewhere, Chairperson, which in a way reflects on us. Scientists are already preparing horrifically. We aren't out of the current pandemic for the next pandemic. And the issues they're looking at right now is deforestation and climate change. They're saying it's going to bring about a series of pandemics. So water is only one example of what is looming for us over the next 20 years or so. And this is not my generation, or our generation, those of us who are old enough in the 60s, yeah, few as we are. It's going to be the younger people who we've been engaging with today. So on the issue of water, it's been around. I serve as a constituency MP in Slamba region, in what we have now called the Afro-Duma municipality. I know this problem been there from the late 90s. I used to deal with the CEO of Utugela. I think it was Mr. Stanley Bladla, if I remember correctly. He was very cooperative with me, though we didn't share the same, let's say, political affiliation around water issues. And we dealt with it. It's a persistent problem in this district municipality, as I remember. So we need to address this issue collectively. The province needs to be far more effective in its oversight, not just the NEC concerned, but also the provincial legislature, as indeed we should have to. I think this is a team we need to work with together with the Human Settlement and Water Affairs Ministry at the national level, at the NCOP level. On the figure of 87% getting electricity in Utugela district, Chairperson, as you know, we get these statistics all the time at national level too. What it doesn't say, let's forget for a moment, although it's hard to do so, the ESCOM challenges. When we've been giving these figures for years before ESCOM became an issue with respect of managing the load shedding, the figures given were never really accurate in the real world, because when we gave these figures, they were not giving us figures of at any one particular time, what is the average percentage of people who are getting electricity? At one stage, we used to use the figure 92%. When I played a different role for 4 years and studied this carefully, even at the executive level, we agreed it's not 95%. It's probably hovering around on any single average on a day, around 65, because the gap between 92 and 62 would probably be that 30% of the people whom we have delivered the infrastructure for water, electricity, were actually not getting it because of some or other failure of the electricity system, or we cut them off even though they're indigent. So that figure of 87% worries me, because I don't think it's reflecting the real situation. The other issue that we keep coming back to, Chairperson, over the past 2 days, and we do it nationally too, is our concern, Chairperson, that we get all these statistics. They deal with the figures. They don't deal with the outcome. Yet in 2009, we opted for an outcomes-based approach. So the question that arises is, are these figures beyond just words and statistics on paper? It's not a reflection on the people who made the submission. It's a reflection on all of us, ultimately public representatives, because we are the elected component or appointed in the case of NCOP from our parties, component of the governance structure. So we are ultimately accountable. So in short, Chairperson, the other thing that strikes me yet again, the quality of the inputs are so good. I mean, it's very impressive. There are these wonderful slide presentations, Chairperson. There's a very articulate set of young officials who explain very eloquently what the issues are. First issue that arises for me, if we are so clear on paper and on a screen these days, why then do we have all these problems, Chairperson? Why? Because it means that the officials have a very good grasp of the issues and what's happening. We as politicians hear what they say, so we know what's going on too, based on that in our own constituency and other political work. So why is there this problem? So why is there this discrepancy between, Chairperson, the quality of the inputs and the quality of the services? Because this is not an academic forum. I mean, you could give people A's for their presentation, but that's not what we're doing here. What about delivery? Often delivery, and that reflects on us, including me, is not a A, it's a C or a D or maybe even lower, but the quality of what we say, including all of us right now, maybe A, but the delivery is a D or E or F, which is why we have so many protests. Finally, we're going towards a new district development model. I mean, really, NEC culture. How are we going to do all of that in the context of the current set of challenges we have? Here's one district as an example. And finally, NEC, as you know also well, more than me, we have all these interventions. I raised this yesterday or the day before. I'm sorry I have to raise. We don't get answers here, Professor, to this. And maybe we need some sort of answer, some sort of reflection on our report. We need to do interventions in a more smart, creative way. I don't know enough about how it's done. The NEC is much better able to comment or helicopter. But the point is, we keep having these interventions. We help a lot at provincial level. NCOP plays its part as limited as it is. Then what happens is things are moving forward, like the event said, and things are all fine. Then the province withdraws, and then 18 months down the road, 24, take my own municipality in Sundusi, right? As the NEC knows so well. Then we bring in another administrator. So obviously the problems were not properly resolved. Obviously the interventions we make in Chairperson are not actually leading to a sustainable independence by a municipality. Then we have to come back at provincial level, and NCOP has to come and monitor and so on progress and so on and so on. So why can't we learn the lesson? And the NEC is an excellent example of somebody who can assist in that, because she's been the political leader of so many interventions in our province. Many of them a second time, like an NCOP. What are we getting right and what are we getting wrong? And how can we improve? Both for the sake of the municipalities who are intervened on and for the sake of the province that has to do it, and the NCOP that has to do the final approval or sanction. So finally, I'm saying, Chairperson, it's in all our interests that we do these interventions in such a way that they're sustainable. Thank you. A lot of these are comments, they're not questions, but these are things we need to mull over, especially COPTA, since the NEC is deployed in this district, and so on. But municipalities have a say on this through Loga and through Selga and so on. Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry for going on for so long, but we're well ahead of the closure time of 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Karim. Greatly appreciate your input. I have my sister Slindile has got a hand up. Was that to fight with Honourable Karim, or is it a point that you forgot?
Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes,
My apologies. I don't have the hand facility, but I wanted to apologize that I have to step down due to other government arrangements. I've got a Belgium delegation that I've got to meet with. They've traveled all the way from Pretoria. My apologies, Chair, but I have taken note of what Honourable Karim was saying,
And I do agree with what he has said. But I think the challenges, Honorable Karim, having you and me coming from the same background of understanding very well the root causes of some of these problems in the local government. They're not just, they're structural problems. That is why you would find that the interventions would not be sustainable. Not because the interventions themselves, but it's because the structure of the institution, you know, once you pull out, it's not able to sustain what you would have put in. But also the changes in the institutions, the instability in the institution, again, it's another cause. But you would know that we could write books every day to point out on the causes of the reasons why the interventions are not sustainable. But I think the other problem is the investment that we do, the fact that the equitable share is still not equitable. And unless we solve that problem of government investing in local government, and the fact that even if you look at Utugela has got a lot of water. We spoke about earlier, Honorable Chair, Tim. We spoke about Utugela. If you look at Utugela, there's so many dams there. And those dams, all of them are going to Gauteng. And people around Utugela are looking at water left and right. Left and right, they have water around their houses, around everywhere. And all those dams are going to Gauteng. That's, you know, it's sad. It's sad. They don't have water to drink. Even the people that are living just next to those dams, just your dam, you're looking at the dam in front of you, but you don't have water to drink. And yet there's water that is going. You know, we tried even there at some stage to say, should we have what is called the water purification plant, where we could put some of these and extract water, at least maybe a package plant that you could put there in that dam, so that at least those people that are around that dam could at least get water, you know, so that this thing of having people looking at this huge dam that doesn't benefit anything from them. And in fact, at some stage, we were saying to municipalities, they should be charging rates to national government for these dams. Because if they were to charge the rate, they would get a lot of money. And that money, actually, it could help these municipalities a lot. So there's a lot of things that probably the NCOP, as a body that represents the interest of provinces, it could do a lot in terms of focusing on the problems that provinces are confronting, and be able to then say, how do we then elevate those problems to the national level, so that those problems are discussed at the national level and they find expression to the fiscus and to the debates that happen. Because what you find with us, you'll find that even yesterday's budget of the minister, you would find SMMEs and people at the local level, people on the ground, they'll tell you, we have unemployed graduates. They can't access that 350 that has been extended. They're unemployed graduates. They have degrees. You find people that are SMMEs who can't access that money that is sitting there in the banks. You find, and I'm just making an example to say, there's a lot of those things that they are good on the paper that we talk about, but when it comes to what matters most on the ground, it's just not as easy as when we talk. And as a governing party, I think it's important that at some stage we fly and we land somewhere. And when we land, we are able to then talk what matters most to our communities. Chair, that will be my parting shot. My apology that I leave before the meeting end. Honorable members.
MEC, if I could just ask one question before you do go, because it was one of my questions. If you can just give me 1 minute. One of the things you raised was economic opportunities in the district. Can you just give us maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes of your ideas of the economic development opportunities that we could pursue at NCOP level for this district?
Okay. One of the economic opportunities for the district is that you have a number of companies in the district right now that have invested, but they are all moving out because there is no water, there is no electricity, there is no road infrastructure. That is one area which is a low-hanging fruit that there is existing companies. Your escort, for instance, escort, which is producing everything, you know, escort. They rely on clean water for them to be able to produce clean food for the whole country. You have Nestle. Nestle produces everything. You drink coffee, chocolates, everything. For them to produce all of those things and be able to have the whole of the continent and export some of those, they need clean water. And we don't have water in the district. We don't have electricity. Those are some of, there's many other companies that I can mention to you. We've had in some other companies like Somotomo, which is a rubber, and Dunlop and others, we've had to, as economic development, we've had to build a water tankers for them, just so that at least they are able to have, you know, supply of water. They don't run out of water whenever there is no water in the district. So water is the biggest problem and economic driver that could sustain. Water and electricity is one economic driver that could sustain. The number two is tourism. But also tourism then also rely on infrastructure such as road infrastructure, water, and electricity. Road infrastructure, you would see there, as I indicated, that there's road, there's potholes, there's everything. Tourists can't even get to the Drakensberg because the roads are horrible. There's crime, there's unemployment, there's everything there. There's no water again. There's no electricity again, even for those establishments that are there in Drakensberg. And you could create a lot of B&Bs that are owned by small SMMEs that could benefit even small and medium enterprises if that area was to thrive, because that area is got a huge potential for tourists to thrive and create a lot of jobs.
Let me say thank you very much. I certainly, on my own bat, will be driving those issues.
I have not even ventured into agriculture, because even there on agriculture, there is a huge opportunities around, even not agriculture mixed with tourism. You know, not just agriculture as in planting. Yes, agriculture, planting and food security, but we use also now agriculture as a tourism attraction, such as a visit to the vineyard, you know, a visit to other, you know, cultural places, and you link that, and it creates, again, a lot of tourism and a lot of jobs for people in that area. And that could be of greatest help to our district. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, MEC. We really appreciate your time. I'm sure that we will drive all those issues with national departments and see what assistance we can get to you. Thank you, MEC. Enjoy your next meeting.
Thank you very much, honorable members.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you. Honorable Lutuli, you had your hand up before we carry on. Okay. Colleagues, I just want to give my comments quickly before we move on to the responses. My first question is for the Mayor. Mayor, you mentioned that one of your revenue collection issues is that there are a number of departments that are not paying you. If you could maybe just give us some clarity on that so we can drive that issue for you. To Mrs. Nguchini, you know, the MEC has just said it. There's an old poem by Samuel Taylor, and one of the lines is water, water everywhere and not a drop to drink. And we've seen this, for instance, in Jozini as well, where people live right next to the Jozini Dam but have no water. And 35 pages of your slides of your presentation related to all the plans, and this ties in with what Honorable Karim was saying, to fix that problem, that infrastructure problem. But can you give us any idea of timelines? Because that's exactly what Honorable Karim was saying. We need to turn this from talk into action on the ground so that the people in the district actually have water. And as the MEC said, also the business. So are there any timelines envisaged? And if you have to send us another presentation on that, that's fine. But I think we need to have we need to draw a line in the sand so that we can monitor this and make sure that it gets done. You know, the MEC made comments about local livestock theft. We'll chase that with the SAPS. The high unemployment. I will certainly engage with the Minister of Public Works. She did a press conference today on Infrastructure South Africa and see what infrastructure plans are planned for the Utugela district, if there are any, and maybe we can motivate for some of them that might drive. Obviously, we'll talk to the Minister of Police and the Minister of Transport around the tourism infrastructure, and then obviously the Minister of Human Settlements and Water and Sanitation. But then, yeah, okay, so those are just the comments I have. I don't know if we can just turn over first to the Mayor, and then if the MM can come in and answer any questions that pertain to his area of expertise, and then finally we'll end with Mrs. Nguchini to give us some input there, and then we can take it from there. And honourable members, if I can just ask you to just monitor as to whether or not your questions are answered. If there are any that are missed, we can come back to them. Thank you. Honourable Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just to elaborate and to give further breakdown, some of the departments that owe us is the Department of Health. It's 531,000. Then the Department of Human Settlement with the 79. Department of Transport with 340. And the Department of Public Works with 4 million. DWS is just a small amount. With some of the municipalities within our district, of which we are trying to engage via IGR with them. So then the commitment has been made by the administrator through intervention that he is going to assist the municipality working with the province to follow on these outstanding debts by the department. But we'll appreciate your intervention in addressing these outstanding debts on our behalf. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. MM, seeing you in the same location, if you'd like to answer any of the questions or comments.
Thank you, Chairperson. Firstly, I'll start with the wards that were identified as lacking water due to infrastructure dysfunctionality. In those identified wards, there is infrastructure, but Chairperson, one should report that vandalism is one of the biggest problems that we're facing as the district. And also because of drought, we found that some of the production boreholes ran dry, which then affected not only those two wards, but most of the wards, especially here in Alfred Duma. But Chairperson, one of the strategies that we are employing was that we approached DWS, where we requested that part of MIG funding, a certain portion be used for refurbishment, of which that is underway, and where we've already gone to those infrastructure facilities which are not working. By the time we leave, water comes out. And in this financial year as well, we have put aside a substantial portion of MIG to address the problems where vandalism has taken place or where you find that infrastructure has deteriorated. In terms of what percentage is government debt, Chairperson, it's a small percentage because it's 3%, but it's 3% of 1.1 billion, which in terms of rands and cents is 23.7 million that we are owed by government in total. As the mayor has alluded to, we are speaking to our local municipalities because between the two local municipalities, of the 23 million that we are owed, 53% of that we are owed by those two local municipalities. So we are engaging them in terms of IGR to ensure that they assist us. Because on the other side, we also owe them, but we have made arrangements to pay what is owed to them. In terms of the cost of tankering water, fortunately, Chairperson, we are using our own trucks, and as the report showed before, there is even assistance that we are getting from Cocta, from Rainwater. So fortunately, those water tanks are actually owned by the municipalities. Only few occasions where we find that maybe we should hire a truck for a week or two. And the only instant where we had to hire was when we had to provide water to schools, especially after COVID, but that was on a cost recovery basis. We are invoicing schools for that water that was supplied to them. So, Chairperson, I think that is what was on my court. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Mgocheni, would you like to join us again and respond to any questions that were directed to you?
Thank you. Maybe let me go back to the issue of the debt owed by government. I think I need to state to the members that the issue of the debt is a standing item, especially at our GNA cluster of cabinet. There is a task team that has been put in place. It's an MEC task team with MEC for Cocta, MEC for Finance, as well as SALGA. They look the government basis, and they encourage governments to monitor the payments to ensure that government departments pay. So see an improvement in terms of payments, and where there are issues in terms of invoicing, or in terms of invoicing, the that there are certain uncertain issues. So over the problems, I think we are getting some in terms of resolving the that is supporting the local government, especially that is allocated to a district that also sits in that regard. Issue raised by Honorable Mutuli, water being a provincial problem, and also the issue of water
sorry, Barbara. Sorry, Ms. Mgutini, your signal seems to be quite bad. We can hardly hear you. You're breaking up a lot. Can you move to a better place?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better.
On the issue by Honorable Mutuli regarding the issue of water tankering, yes, it's a provincial challenge, especially during COVID, where we had to increase the number of tankers to support areas that did not have water. But there is a cabinet resolution to say, as a province, we need to expand the use of water tankers, especially the ones that are hired. So we had a program in Kokta to purchase water tanks for municipalities where feasible and in line with our budget allocation. And at the same time, we're also encouraging municipalities to own their own fleet instead of hiring. So is a program in place, but all that the Premier has also directed that we come up with innovations that will address the where there is no, so that we do away with difficult to reach universal access within a short space of time, but there is a program in place where we have accelerated water interventions to address the issue of water. We hope one day with the issue of using hired water tankers. But Utugela as a district, they've limited use of hired water tankers. They're limited by the municipality. The issues raised by Honorable Karim of the plan place and limitations in terms of interventions. Yes, Honorable MP, is the truth. The issue is challenges in municipalities are multifaceted. Governance issues, spending issues. But if we want to address governance issues, some cases then but when there are not some cases you find is governance that are disabling implementation. So we need the whole system of local government in totality. And as we move towards the full implementation of the DDM, I believe we should be able to address some of the key issues that there are, especially in terms of governance, in government minded, what matters the most in terms of priorities. The plan that I was unveiling today is a master plan that is still to be finalized at the end of October. We are supposed to present it to the Premier tomorrow. We are in the stage of planning in terms of the water master plan. Every time we're bringing in interventions that we can start implementing. But we agree with you, we need to speed up that implementation by aligning and making them. So the issue of these data that we rely on at times are not as credible because the sensors that at times they're very old. We also bring surveys, which is also not as credible. So the Premier that all water service authorities they must do for their district to identify the communities that do not have services. So we started off with the water sector in 2019. all what that they've done their training centers or assessment of their households to get up. So but we are far from that, and the stats are affected by in-migration. Even than how there's a real now that we've reached 99% coverage in electricity. But within a short space of time, there was in-migration, the that came up, and we to less than 20% because of the settlements coming up unplanned in some cases. So it's difficult, but it's work that we are trying to address in terms of the statistics and ensuring that we have credible figures by getting municipalities to also do their mini household surveys to get correct numbers. Instability in institutions and the issue of the equitable share. I think we need support to get funding, especially for refurbishment of to have a ring-fenced budget that of infrastructure. We are putting a case together as KZN for National Treasury to consider in future grants, to consider a ring-fenced grant that specifically looks at refurbishment, seeing that we've got a lot of infrastructure that is different now. In the way that the condition assessment is giving us that true case to say we need to relook at grant framework and allocate funding specifically for refurbishment. So we need the support of the and this coming up in the future. And then in terms of the chair, in terms of the short interventions, I think on slide 18 we're beginning to indicate some short-term interventions in the water. But if we look at the way that we approach the water master plan, we've divided it into the water value chain, source to tap, looking at that whole value chain to say what needs to be done by who and then by when. That is work that is still underway, and we are hoping they've completed that. So master plan, we look at the bulk first, the river and so forth, and we indicate what needs to be done. And in that instance, we've identified new dams that are required, and in some of them were received directly to those dams. We look at the distribution aspect, part of the value chain, secondary bulk as well as distribution, which is the mandate of municipalities. And in that regard, we are looking at the grants that are existing, your grants, and we are working with you to then realign to ensure that we bring water closer to the community. And then the third aspect is the sustainability, the operations and maintenance, where we are saying we don't have enough funding for that. Visions for operations and maintenance, and that's the part that we need one voice to motivate the funding for. And that from my side, I could cover, but I use shifting and also thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. We greatly appreciate it. Honourable members from the NCOP, I know the signal wasn't great. Are we happy that all our questions were answered? Are there any other questions? Okay, colleagues, then I think yes.
Unfortunately, when they answered, I was offline. I was trying to reconnect again, so I'm not sure whether my question was answered well or not.
Honourable Ferreira, if you can just put your question again and just tell us who the question must go to, and then they can re-answer for you quickly.
My question was about boreholes, spring protection, and water pumps. I was trying to check whether this kind of things is going to help the community, but I wanted to know what is the condition now as we speak, taking for in account the money that that has been used on these projects. I wanted to know from Utuela side whether this thing is sustainable or not, whether the community are benefiting on this project or not, whether the services on this project on these boreholes are happening or not. That was my question, Tim.
Thank you, Honourable Fiala. Mrs. Nguchini, could you answer that question?
Sorry, Chair, I think it's for the district because it's more operational. Know which of the projects out of the 111 million spent on boreholes, the 24 million spent on springs, if there are some that are not functional or operational. I think MMA alluded to vandalism, maybe needs on that to check with the new infrastructure that has been installed, what is the state. So we only have information with the old infrastructure that we assess where there is a lot of issues required and run, which is especially in outbreak zone. But can I request the manager to respond to this?
Sorry, Mrs. Nguchini, who do you think could answer that? Your signal is very bad.
The Martin Sitole,
okay.
This is both now. Or Lala, the technical manager. Thank you.
Okay, so the municipal manager, Mr. MM, can you help us there?
Chairperson, may I request that my technical director at least chips in and help me on that one? Thank you.
Sure, no problem at all.
Greetings to yourself, Chairperson, and to all the members. The condition of the boreholes that were drilled before, most of them are operational, as the municipal manager has indicated that those that are not operational are due to the vandalism and the low yield, or whereby the boreholes are dry in winter season, and then in summer when we get rainfall, then we are able to utilize them again. And on another side, most of these production boreholes that were drilled before were designed to supply water on the RTP levels, whereby we're supplying on the standpipes 200 meters away. But due to the development, illegal connections came in. So some of those only supplying a portion, not the entire scheme, but they are being utilized. Obviously, now and again, especially the hand pumps will break, and then we refurbish them and repair them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honourable Mfayela, are you satisfied now with that answer?
I'm fine now. I'm fine,
okay.
Honourable Tim. I'm okay, sir.
All right, colleagues, I think then that all the NCOP members have had their questions answered. We are now moving to point number 9 on our agenda, which is the way forward. And I'd like to just ask the Mayor to come back into the meeting and just give us some closing remarks from his side and the road he sees going forward. I would have also liked to ask the MEC, but she has already left and given us her comments. So, Mr. Mayor, you have the last word from the municipality side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We are hoping that this exercise and the visit by the NCOP is going to yield positive result in our favor as a district municipality, especially on the infrastructure development. As much as we would love to ensure that we are able to supply all our people with water, but we need the national government support on that one. Especially, we know that water, especially dams, they fall under national government. So as a district, we only draw water from rivers and dams. So with that support, people of Okahlamba, local municipality, excuse me, people of the district as a whole can benefit from that resource. as alluded also by the MEC. And we'll also appreciate, Chairperson, from this to have a way of doing a follow-up with you to check the progress in terms of the support or the programmatic plan to support the district. Because in the eyes of the people, they see the district failing them to provide with the basic need, which is water, of which we believe that the local, province, and national needs to work together to ensure that we provide that basic need as enshrined in our constitution. As a district alone, we cannot deliver on that issue, but we appreciate so far the support that we are receiving from the provincial government in the main, as well as the national government, that we are able to deliver on this. And I wish also to concur with the issues that were raised by the MEC of working around ensuring that we create jobs on the tourism, because tourism was one of our major economy in our district, but due to COVID, a number of hotels, especially the small ones, they've closed down because there's no support that they have been getting. So then also with the agriculture as an issue, when the president was here last year, the people of the district, especially Okahlamba, they've raised the issue of land, that they occupy land, but they don't own the land. So if also that issue could be speeded up, so that at least we respond to the commitment that was made by the national government to assist our people as well, of them acquiring land as well as becoming owners of the land. Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity and for everything that we've discussed and the support that we are receiving.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I think that we now have a better picture of what is going on in Utugela District Municipality. I think we appreciate the interaction. But if I can just quote my colleague, Honorable Karim, our model is cooperative government. And so we have a duty at the NCOP to work very hard to try and escalate all the issues that have been presented to us today. But you also have a duty to cooperate with us and to cooperate with the province. The bottom line, what I'm trying to say, Mr. Mayor, and to everybody on the platform, is that we all have a duty to work as hard as we possibly can, as diligently as we possibly can, as ethically as we possibly can, to try and bring proper service delivery, and in this case, water, to the people of Utugela District Municipality. And so I think if we can all go forward with that in mind, that our first duty is the people of that district municipality, then I think we can slowly start to turn the corner and slowly start to improve the lives of the people who live in that district, of the citizens who live in that district municipality. So those are my closing remarks. Colleagues, if there is nothing else, we can close the meeting. I don't know if there is anything else that anybody would like to add at this point. Okay, gone. All right. If I could just ask, as we discussed earlier, colleagues, if the members of the NCOP could just stay on the platform just for a few minutes to discuss our arrangements for tomorrow. But thank you to everybody else, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mrs. Speaker, all the councillors, everybody who's been with us today, and all the staff and officials who've made today possible. Thank you very much. If you can all just check out of the platform, and we can have a quick chat. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga kakhulu.